Well, to Australia now, and emergency services attended to the injured after a vehicle ploughed into pedestrians at a crowded intersection in the southern city of Melbourne on Thursday. Amateur videos showed. Police said the car incident on Flinders Street has left up to 15 people injured, adding they had arrested the driver and a second man. The incident had chilling echoes of several attacks by Islamist militants in various parts of the world over the past year or two. The Victoria State Ambulance Service said it had taken 13 people to hospital, including a preschool child with a serious head injury, while 2 people were being treated at the scene. Well, for more on that incident in Australia, we are joined by CGTN's Greg Navarro, live from Sydney. Greg, what exactly happened there?
Well, we should start just a short time ago. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull addressed this briefly, calling it a shocking incident. He's absolutely right. As you mentioned, this took place a little bit before 5 o'clock on a Thursday in the city of Melbourne, in possibly the busiest intersection in the central business district. People were on their way home, doing the evening commute, families, parents out doing last-minute holiday shopping, when police say a white SUV came into an intersection, did not appear to slow at all, and plowed through more than a dozen people. Now, witnesses say that car was going anywhere between 60 to 100 kilometers an hour, showed no signs of braking. In fact, one witness said the bodies helped to slow that car before it slammed into a barricade. 14 people were injured, 13 taken to hospital, as you mentioned, including a child with head injuries. We're told several of those people at this hour are in a critical condition. Now, immediately following that, witnesses to the accident ran to that vehicle, pulled the driver out, held that driver to the ground until police arrived. They arrested that man and a second man who they say they believe are related, those 2 men, in some way. They're well known to each other. At this point, they say it was a deliberate act. They still don't know a motive for this, but I have to tell you that some of the eyewitness accounts are chilling. One was a popping sound, this person said, which was the vehicle slamming into bodies. Other describing people being thrown into the air by the force. Again, remember, one witness saying that vehicle was moving up to 100 kilometers an hour through the city's busiest intersection. Right now, police have cordoned off a huge part of the central business district in Melbourne. They are trying to figure out exactly what the motivation was for this crash. Karen?
So a busy time and the vehicle going at quite a speed, causing a number of casualties there. So the authorities are definitely treating this not as an accident then. They are treating this as a deliberate act.
That's right. They said that all signs, and they said this a couple of hours ago, all signs pointed to this being a deliberate act. Initially, witnesses thought it was either a deliberate act, and I'll explain that in a minute, or possibly this person was drunk or having a medical condition. This happened one day after the Victorian government, the state in which Melbourne exists, announced plans for a public memorial for an incident that happened not far from there in January, where a driver purposely plowed through a pedestrian area, killing 16 people, injuring more than 24 people. So the first thought for a lot of people in that area who heard, who saw, who heard the news on the radio or the TV was that this was another deliberate act. At this point, police say they feel confident that's what it was. As for an exact motive as to why these men apparently did this, they still don't know at this hour, Karen.
Okay, so we don't have a motive at the moment. Thank you very much for that. That was CGTN's Greg Navarro there with that update live from Sydney there.